to another DorkLair action figure review. Today I'm taking a look at the XesRay Studios Combatants Fight for Glory Wave 5 Legionaries pre-production samples. Huge shout out to 5KToys for including the DorkLair in this sample review campaign. Very much appreciated, guys. I know that I'm a small channel and I'm very grateful that you continue to include me in this sort of thing. So thanks a bunch. I know there will be some other reviewers with this stuff up. So take a look at Toy Bro for sure. He'll have these up if you want another look. But yeah, so 5KToys, thank you again. And if you're looking to purchase these figures, they do have them up for pre-order on 5KToys. These are pre-production samples, so they are not finished. I think there's mostly paint applications. I mean, everything moves really well. I think there's some paint issues that they're working through. But this should be a pretty good look at the close to final product that you'll get with just a few tweaks towards the end. And I think these are supposed to ship maybe in early 2024. So not too far off now. We're in Q4 now. So yeah, these will be right around the corner for sure. So we have 3 figures in Wave 5 here. The first one is this Centurion named Marcus, and he's kind of fully loaded. He looks like he's got that higher rank. He does seem to have injury. They kind of have stories going. I haven't paid a lot of attention to them, but he walks with a cane, it looks like, unless this has some other symbolic meaning I'm not sure of. I don't know a lot about Roman Legionaries and the Roman military and ranks and stuff like that, but you know, I know this guy would be like a squad leader, basically a Centurion running like one squad. So there's Marcus. Next up we have Iulis the Signifer, and I had to look that up, but it's basically a standard bearer or like a flag bearer of the military. I think it's like a middle range rank, and this is probably my favorite, mostly because I like the mask on this one, and it's got that cool like wolf hood going on there. Just a really cool figure. He does have the flag, and not the flag, but like the standard that he can carry and display. So we'll get to that in a little bit. And then the third figure is the Roman Infantry. So this would be your army builder of the wave. And price-wise, at least on 5KToys, this is a $40 figure. The Signifer is a $40 figure, and then the Centurion is a $45 figure. Those prices will be definitely different if you go to other shops, because I don't know if there's like a standard pricing or what, but 5KToys definitely has like the cheapest pricing, at least pre-shipping costs. When you factor shipping in, it might be a little different in terms of comparing it to other shops, but the $40 price point, in my opinion, is pretty darn good. Might depend on where you live and how far you live from 5KToys, who are in California. So just heads up on that. And then here's a look at all 3 side by side so that you can kind of get a sense of what's shared and what's unique among these figures. So looking at the bottom, the lower legs, basically from the hips down, I believe it's all the same. Of course, the Centurion has the golden armor on those shin guards, but other than that, it's the same sculpt and everything from the legs up to the hips. Even the skirts are the same. So there's like a second skirt on the top of the Centurion, but underneath this bottom skirt here, here, and here, those are the same sculpt, just painted differently. And then in the torso area, all 3 figures have a different overlay piece, a different like torso armor piece that comes over the top. The Signifer and the Infantry have the same belt piece. It's like a belt with a diagonal strap across the top and one peg hole for a sword. And then the Centurion has a different piece. It's like a super elaborate one that comes cut to the middle and around the sides, and that has a peg hole for the 2 different sheaths, one on either side there. Different shoulder armor for all 3. The helmets all look the same to me, except the fact that the Centurion has a topper. Obviously, the Signifer has the hood over the top, but that's not connected to the helmet in any way. But they all look basically the same. Of course, the 3 masks are different, but those masks are actually removable and interchangeable. And then another thing I noticed is that the sleeves on the lower rank guys look to be shared, but then on the Centurion, there's definitely like some straps sculpted in there. So I think that piece is different. So the upper arms on the Centurion might be a little bit different. And I'm not sure about the underlying body. I think you would have to remove the arms in order to get the torso armor off of there. And so I'm not going to do that because these are test shots and I'm not sure, they might want these back. So I'm just going to hold off on like yanking these figures apart because I don't know if they're actually mine or to keep or what. Little close up on the Signifer. The obvious standout here is this wolf hood, which is super nicely detailed and is painted really well. So that's a pretty good look. I bet that's pretty close to finished, that particular piece there. I love that look. And I love the mask on this one. And then we got a really basic, simple mask and helmet on the regular soldier here. And with the Centurion, we got that gold mask and then the big plume on top that really kind of shows the rank of the character. And then, of course, we have this fur cape on the Centurion as well. One neat thing is that they all have a different torso armor. So the Centurion has scale mail. The Infantry has what looks to me like plate mail, and then you have chain mail on the Signifer. And they all share the same skirt piece, and they're pretty nice looking to me. It looks like cracked leather over here with some little tassels sculpted in, and then a more of a fabric kind of piece underneath perhaps. And there's no split in the skirt, so wide stances are not going to be possible if you want to go past this far. And then there's a look at the leg armor. I do hope there's a little more detail in the final paint applications, some wash, maybe just bring down that plasticky look just a little bit. Everything kind of has a little bit of a plasticky look, so I'm thinking maybe because this is the test shot, it might not be quite finished, you know, like that white handle, maybe give it like a little wash or something. I will say the wolf part, the fur looks really good. That kind of stands out among the rest, but just some weathering, I think, would go a long way with these guys. And since these guys are all the same body, they're essentially the same height. Like if you take the plume off of this guy and take the hood off of that guy, you're going to have the same exact height figure. So for that reason, I'm just going to use the basic Infantry for my comparisons. Height-wise, he stands just about 7 inches tall, which lines him up nicely with other 7-inch scale lines like Masterverse on the left and Animal Warriors on the right. Next up, a couple Mezco figures, Conan on the left, a little bit shorter, but not out of scale in my opinion. And on the right, we have Death Dealer, who's definitely a taller figure and I think fits in pretty well. And then here we have a Mythic Legions figure, Delta Guard the Destroyer on the left, and the Super 7th Thulsa Doom on the right. Finally, on the left, we have the Tamashii Nation movie realization Ronin Mandalorian. And on the right, because the Roman infantry to me kind of looks like Ram Man, we have Ram Man. For accessories, we'll start off with the infantry, who comes with a shovel, which is kind of cool. It brings up the like civil side and the like the infrastructure side of the military and how they would, you know, construct roads and things like that. And then it's also got a long spear or pike with this really long blade. Mine's a little curved. A little heat would fix that pretty quickly. Some nice little details on that wooden part and some banding around and a sharp end over here. And it's got the sword. I love the simplicity of the Roman swords, and this sculpt captures it pretty well. And then there's a few different hands. He has a set of relaxed hands, a set of fists, and then he's got a set of gripping hands on the figure. And the infantry is the only one of the three that comes with a round shield, and you can kind of see how the light is catching that wooden sculpture there. And then you have that nice application, probably like a tampo application there of the decoration. This side looks great. This side looks a little plasticky to me, but you won't really see that other side too much. And then next up is the standard that comes with the Signifer, the flag bearer, so to speak. And unfortunately mine broke. I don't know what happened, but this is a test shot, so the plastics might not be, you know, final production plastic, so I'm not going to call that an issue or anything like that. But yeah, there's the rest of the kind of staff that the standard is on. And then he also comes with the kind of longer sword here and the same fists and open hands. And this I would also consider to be an accessory since it's very easily removable. It just kind of sits over the top. And then he does have that square curved shield over here with, again, those same kind of like decorations. I'm assuming it's the symbols of their army, their particular unit or whatever. But some nice little like distress going on. This thing's seen some battle with these slash marks and nice metallic piece right here. Again, the back looks a little plasticky, but you won't really see that. Finally, we have the Centurion Marcus, and he does come with an extra blade. So he's got an extra sheath on that side, and he's got this smaller blade. And then he does have the standard blade over here that I showed earlier. He does come with the same shield, and he's got that cane, which I'm curious to know his little story here. I looked at the bio, but it only had the general wave bio. It didn't actually have the character bios. And then he does have the fists and the open hands. And so one last thing for each figure about the accessories are the helmets. And I kind of saved that for all one shot here. And we have Marcus. And the cool thing about these helmets is this face plate actually comes off. So if you want to have just the helmet like this, you can do that, and then the helmet comes off as well. You can kind of get a look. They said these faces are definitely not done yet, so don't really pay too much attention to these faces just yet, but there's one. And they all peg in the same way, so they're interchangeable. And here we have the infantry guy, and here's his head sculpt. It would have been cool if this one came maybe with like 2 different heads, and then you could have had, different army units, but with the mask, it doesn't really matter too much if you're army building. And then finally, my favorite helmet, and I love this mask here. We have the Signifer, and then pulling his off is a look at his head sculpt. And again, these heads are definitely not finished. And so there's an example of a swap. If you wanted to put the Signifer's mask on the Centurion's face, this is how it would look, and I think that looks pretty awesome. Again, that's my favorite mask. Finally, for articulation, I'm just going to use the infantry because it's the most basic one. I feel like it's the best representative. Things might be slightly different in terms of the way the torso pieces kind of get in the way of the legs or what have you. But for the most part, they're going to be the same articulation. The head is on a double ball joint at the top of the neck. There's no lower neck movement, but you can kind of get some pretty good expression out of it. When you have the helmet on, it's going to limit things a little bit more. Shoulder armor can move a little bit. There is a peg in the back there. I'm sure you could remove it with some heat. And with the armor on, the arm can swing pretty freely in most directions. It does have a sort of ball jointed shoulder up top there. And then you have a single jointed elbow that comes up to just about a little past 90 degrees. There's a twist above the elbow there. And then you have a hinge and swivel at the wrist. The wrists can pop off, and then you can pull the arm guards off if you want. So there's a look at the arm without the arm guards over on that side. I believe there's a ball jointed waist under there and no upper torso articulation, but it can crunch a little bit forward and a little bit back, which is, decent for a guy that's fully armored like this. There's also ball jointed hips, but the skirt is going to limit things a lot. I wish there was a split in the skirt. I mean, you could probably cut one yourself if you wanted to, but a split would be nice. I mean, it can only kick back this far, forward that far. You do have a twist at the top of the leg there, and then you have a double jointed knee that can come up to just about here. So not too bad on that knee. And I think one improvement is that they've added a twist above the ankle. I don't think there was a twist on that first series. The last human figures from XesRay that I had were the first wave, and I don't think they had that twist. But there's also a hinge with just a lot of great movement, and then a rocker as well. So with that twist, I think it makes for some really nice posing in those lower leg areas. And then one minor little nitpick that I hope they work on is that you can't really put the helmet on with the mask on there. Well, you can. You have to kind of hold it in place, because if you just put it on there, it's going to pop off, and then you have to take it and you got to put it back on while it's on there. So that's just a little minor thing. It's not a lot of work or anything, but it'd be nice if that just a tolerance was a little bit tighter up in there. But overall, I think this is a pretty solid wave of figures. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks again, 5KToys. If you're looking to pick these up, check out their website. Link in the comments below. And until next time, may the force be with you.